Greetings folks, I'm Dan Mack, welcoming you to the Shred Shack, and I'm wearing this Santa hat to disguise the fact that I'm recording this in May of 2017. Now, the year 2016 kinda ended with a whimper, a somber year reaching its closing days with high hopes despite a grim reality. And despite the fact that what was released in December was kind of meager, what these three albums offer, certainly not the case. Red I.V is a name I had often heard after coming down to San Antonio and keeping my ear to the ground of the local rock and metal scene. I hadn't really had the chance to catch them, having missed them twice in my concert-going endeavors, and prior to this point I had no idea what they sounded like. I had the opportunity to catch them live on New Year's Eve for the release of this EP, and needless to say, I was quite impressed. The two-man team of singer-slash-bassist Joseph Herron and guitarist Corey Epps seem to have a working dynamic that allows each to exemplify the strengths of the other, with the product treading heavily in the territory of alternative metal due largely to the crisp yet heavy riffage of Epps. However, I can't say enough about the vocals. To use the phrase icing on the cake might be an understatement, though perhaps most appropriate as the instrumentation is kind of the driving force of the sound. However, the voice of Joseph Herron is versatile and unique, borrowing some elements from the deep voice crooning so heavily employed by alternative metal, and adding far more flexibility and vibrato, strengthening the heaviest moments and adding a sense of vulnerability to the ballady material. The title track, my favorite song on the EP, is the apex of their sound. With pacing like a freight train and an almost anthemic quality to the verses and choruses, this song is a reaffirmation of life. I'm expecting more excellence from this band in the future, and hopefully that comes sooner rather than later. Now, I'm probably going to butcher the band's name, but so be it. When I first reviewed Krullur's latest EP, Failure to Comply, on the podcast, I was a little misguided in my assessment of it, as I tend to do when I tend to focus on bands outside of my comfort zone. Horror, Pain, Gore, Death Productions has been a hotbed of surprises for me since I started leaning more toward heavier material, and Krullur is high among them. Self-labeled on their Facebook page as metal, hardcore, thrash, punk, Krullur certainly is an adept combination of these elements, with each song showcasing a little more of what they borrow from each genre. The erratic flesh-ripping of thrash, the brazenness of hardcore, and the fist-pumping zeal of punk all have a very noticeable place in the mix here, giving the release the variety that many of their contemporaries sadly lack. Even when they throw in a comparative curveball, it's a welcome change of pace that is not uncharacteristic considering how the songs that precede it have built upon their sound. My only gripe with this release is the excessive use of reverb in accentuating the vocal delivery. If applied to a drinking game, this would leave several dead of alcohol poisoning before the end of its 18-minute runtime. However, this is a small complaint from an otherwise excellent release. All sorts of credit to A Sound of Thunder, as they are currently the only band to have appeared on my top 3 list more than once, and considering their general excellence and consistency in releasing material, I can guarantee it won't be the last time. In early September, the band took to Kickstarter to fund the recording of an album of cover songs. They've seemingly had plenty of Kickstarter success in the past, and this album was no different, far surpassing their initial goal. Half of the album boasted brand new covers of songs by Alice Cooper, Merciful Fate, Tool, Black Sabbath, and more, with the other half consisting of previously released covers, alternate versions of other previously released covers, and one re-recording of their own song. To be honest, there were a handful of songs here that I wasn't too familiar with previously, so I was obviously inspired to get an earful of the originals. In most cases, their versions are largely true to the originals, with tunes like Death Alley Driver, Icarus Born on the Wings of Steel, Trashed, The Last in Line, and A National Acrobat benefiting from drastic improvements in recording quality since their originals were made, as well as a handful of tweaks to each song to make them unique to the band. Perhaps the track that has the most evident changes to suit their style, aside from their version of Dan Fogelberg's Ghosts, is Stinkfist by Tool. This brings me to the spirited performance of singer Nina Asageda. I spoke highly of Nina when discussing Tales from the Dead Side in September 2015, and this release only cements my opinion that this lady is the epitome of non-operatic, non-growling female metal singers. Her voice can carry beautiful melodies, but can and will shake your blood when the music takes a turn for the heavy. That versatility and conviction make her one of today's finest and sorely overlooked in an era where acts like Hailstorm, Flyleaf, Huntress, and In This Moment have the spotlight. In some cases, I even feel that their versions surpass the originals. Since I fear the wrath of Maynard fans, I'm not going to mention that track hereafter. However, their version of Who Do You Think We Are far surpasses the original, turning a particularly subdued track into an anthem for the ages. Generally speaking, I love cover songs and whole cover albums, as they are often a means by which a band can not only demonstrate how they've been influenced by the original artist, but also potentially bring something equally interesting to the table by applying their own style to it. A Sound of Thunder has taken this notion to 11 and produced an excellent ode to the gods of rock and metal, an accolade I feel they will deservedly have themselves one day. So those are my thoughts on the best heavy metal albums of December 2016. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments below or on our Facebook page at facebook.com/theshredshack. Until next time, I'm Dan Mack, and I bid you adieu.